as worship was starting and I think we were saying the prayer or singing the hymn, I could hear Eli making his sounds. And I was thinking of Pentecost, and I said, if the Spirit would move through us right now, we know what he was saying. I just thought of the children's voices that we have among us. We don't always know what they are saying, but they bring that spirit, that sense of life among us. And since today we celebrate and begin the season of Pentecost, I just wanted to give us a little background, which you probably caught from the children's sermon, but Pentecost means 50th in Greek, and the roots of the Central Christian, and it talks about the Central Christian feast going back to the Jewish Feast of Weeks, and that was completed 50 days after Passover. So in the early church, then, this feast was the culmination of 50 days of Easter celebrations. But then it later became a festival in its own right. And then in the early church, as I said, Pentecost was the preferred time for admitting new Christians in the church through baptism, and it's a perfect time to join the church. But I want to pause for a moment and think back to the lesson that we studied last week with the ascension of Jesus into heaven. Jesus was resurrected, but spent time among his disciples and continued to teach. But then Jesus was taken up, so to speak, and then the church no longer had the risen Christ. But now, we are the body of Christ on earth. And as that body, over and over, God refreshes us with the Holy Spirit so that we can continue the work that was begun by Jesus. In Latin, it's called the Missio Dei. I always call it, in a sense, that we are on a mission from God. So in our own baptisms, where we pray for the Spirit to be upon us, it connects us to Pentecost. But what does Pentecost mean for us today? Individually and as the church. What does it mean for the church to be filled with the Holy Spirit? Maybe the most important question would be, what difference does it make to live in the Spirit? I think in a nutshell, Pentecost challenges us to get out of our comfort zone and into a less predictable life that God's Spirit may be pointing us towards. Now, when we're asked those questions, what is it like to be the church filled with the Holy Spirit? What does it mean for us to live Pentecost? Sometimes we hear these questions and we try to start fixing little problems, or we try to say, if only. But Reggie McNeil said, there is a Pentecost happening every day in the world, but we get consumed with church and we miss God. It's interesting. We get consumed with church and we miss God. We get focused on the little details and we miss where God is happening in our midst. So Pentecost asks us to look a little bit broader. It also asks us to look at the gifts that we've all been given, kind of like I asked the children. Think about what you dream of, what your passion is, and have you pushed that passion aside because you think it's not possible? God, the Spirit, works in us to ask us, what is your passion? And then to work with that. We don't have to be perfect. We don't always have to get it right to know what is the next thing to do. We have to have faith that the Spirit's working in us. Look at the apostles. One of them was impatient. One was really cranky. Another one was always uncertain. Another one was unfocused. One was very self-centered. One was thoughtless. You get the picture. Instead of seeing those as flaws, God embraced every single one of them in their rich variety. And so the Spirit comes to all of us no matter where we are and who we are and how we see God. And there's another thing about Pentecost. It's not just about speaking incomprehensible languages. Pentecost is about hearing incomprehensible languages. Now, what does that mean, to hear? It means that with the Spirit, we can hear and we can understand new amazing things if we just know where to listen, or if we simply listen. We'll be amazed at what is out there when we widen our view. We might think first, well, we'll start here in the church, and we will find the Spirit at work in the church, but don't write off the Spirit that's working in other places and other people that may not even know what church is. And that's probably a lot of the human race. God has given everyone the gift of the Spirit and sees everyone in a rich variety to work from. So God is having a Pentecost every day in the world out there. I think it's up to us to find out where we fit in and where we can participate. A few years ago, I became what's called an associate member of the Iona community in Scotland. The actual community of Iona is, they have actual members of this community, but you have to live in Scotland to do that. So I went over there, of course, a couple of years ago to take part in a class and meet other people. And one of the things about the relationship of this community is that we don't meet all together in one place like we do as church. The Iona community is a sent community. It's kind of like the apostles were after Jesus died. And being sent, we are to trust God to lead us to places and to people who need us, people who need God. And so I'm talking about this because a small group of us gathered on Friday and Saturday up in Biddeford, Maine. And we're there to just renew acquaintances or meet new people. But most of all, we were there to talk about and support each other and challenge each other in what we may have imagined God is leading us to do and what we are doing. Now, one friend of mine that I graduated seminary with, she's been part of the community for a while, and she has dedicated a lot of her ministry to justice work. And through her leadership, her congregation recently voted to become a sanctuary church. And that is a huge, huge step. Not everybody was on board, but it's a risky thing to do. There's another retired minister who surprisingly was graduated with a minister that I worked with as a student, and we just started laughing because we knew him and we know the kind of character he is and he was to work with. And so, but it was just, there's these connections that happen when you go out and meet new people that are strangers, and you don't expect it. I think that's the Spirit. But he lives way, way, way up in Vermont and lives in a sort of rustic home and has a little hermitage in the back. I guess it's just kind of like a little cottage. And he feels called to open up his home as a place of hospitality for people who need a respite. Maybe it's from people who are continual caregivers, or maybe they're dealing with addiction, whatever it is. It's going to be sort of a wayside inn for those who need a respite. But he also mentioned that he loves maple sugaring and he wants to help people, he wants to teach about that. And I was like, that's his passion. He loves the maple sugaring. And so we said, make that part of it, make that part of your ministry. It's a new thing to do. So that is a piece of what Pentecost is about. What we imagine things could be like and what we're passionate about. Those things are what we're supposed to lift up inside of us, but just imagining doesn't get the job done. It takes that risk, like my friend in the Amesbury Mass Church did. It takes the risk of putting themselves out there and saying, can we go this direction? Can we become a sanctuary church? So imagining is one thing, it's taking that risk that's hard. And I know it's really scary because I feel it. I have things that I imagine and I dream and I haven't done it yet because it's scary. But the other element about Pentecost, about doing this mission from God, is that if we trust in the Spirit to work in us and through us, we realize it's not my work, it's not your work, it's God's work. That's what living in the Spirit is like. We all have individual gifts. We have the inspiration of the Spirit if we just grab onto it, and out those doors, are the incredible needs of our world. But where these things intersect is where the mission of God is at work. That Spirit's here for all of us. How will we allow that Spirit to inspire us, encourage us, and enable us to be the church in the world today and tomorrow?